if I see another 4-month bulking phase on a natural athlete, I may just lose my shit. There's a narrative that is not catching on, but it's just starting, which I want to smack before it becomes a thing. Is like, there was a message being passed around, I can't remember who the video was from, but it was like, oh, the reason that I've gained 20 kilos in 4 months, or however much this guy had gained, and he said, is because I'm a natural athlete, I need to gain weight quicker and commit to the bulk more and take it more seriously because I'm a natural and I can't grow as quickly. And in this video, I'm going to break down why that is the complete wrong way of thinking about it, and actually, in my opinion, that is actually the lazier way to go about it, and it shows me that you're actually not fully committed to a bulk, not fully committed to a gaining phase. And I'm also going to give you the 4 pieces of data that if you track these and you put these 4 pieces of data in the right place, like you track them on a weekly basis, you write them down, you optimize them so they're in the right spot, you will run the perfect gaining phase no matter what else you do, right? You just need to take care of these 4 things relentlessly on a weekly basis. You tick these 4, and in a year's time, you will look like a completely new guy. Like, you will look like a completely new fucking guy. So the reason why that way of thinking is so fucking backwards is we know naturals. Let me just switch lane here. Bit of a cheeky maneuver. We like it. We like it. Is he going to let me in? I'm going to force my way in a bit of trouble. This is what the like driving in Dubai is like. You literally just have to force your fucking way in. You have to force your way in. Okay, cool. We're in. Let's go. And one more, shall we? Oh, let's go. Double jet lane jump. Okay. The reason why that way of thinking is backwards, let's think about this logically. Who grows quicker? Enhanced athletes or natural athletes? Enhanced athletes can grow muscle so much quicker than we can, like 28 times quicker or some shit, right? Don't quote me on that, but there is studies that show they put on 28 times more muscle in the same time period when they weren't even fucking exercising or something. But we put on muscle slower. So the narrative of, right, if we put on muscle slower, we need to go all in on our gaining phases, gain weight quicker to maximize that little bit of muscle that we can put on because we put it on slower, is backwards because we put it on slower. So what we actually need to be maximizing isn't our rate of gain, so isn't how much weight we're actually putting on a weekly basis, but how long we're in a gaining phase. It's the duration that fucking matters, not the rate of gain itself. So what this guy had in his head, I can't remember who it was, and I'm not calling him out and saying he needs to change his, he's a complete nightmare. I just saw this video and I thought, he's just got this confused with that. He was trying to maximize how much weight he was putting on weekly to make sure that he was getting as much muscle as he could out of that weight. But the reality is, no matter how much weight you're putting on a weekly basis, the same amount of that will be muscle pretty much. Sure, if you're in a 500 calorie surplus versus a 200 calorie surplus, there may be like a tiny bit more, but it comes at a cost. And the cost is the body fat. No, we don't need to be scared of body fat. No, it's not a huge problem because we know how to take it off as well. But the thing that it kills is the duration of your gaining phase, which is the most important factor. This is what my whole gaining methodology is about. It's about maximizing the duration you spend, how long you're actually spending in a gaining phase. Because let's just think about this logically. If we put on muscle slower as natural athletes, then we need to be in a gaining phase for longer to scoop up more of those little gains along the way. If we're only gaining for 4 months and we put on muscle slower, then the difference is going to be pretty much negligible. And secondly, we don't have gear to help us when we're actually cutting on the way down to stop us from losing any muscle. So what most guys fucking do is they gain a load of weight in 4 months, go, right, time to cut down and reveal all of the magic business that's going to be going on here. And they just cut in horrendous ways where they don't look after these 4 data points. They're not training super efficiently. They haven't got their routine set and stuff like this, and they end up actually losing weight because they only spent losing muscle because they only spent 4 months growing anyway. They cut back down and they look exactly the same. So it's like they literally just have not moved their physique forwards at all. Oh, you got close up on my finger there. Hope you like that. So my whole methodology when it comes to, and the reason why my physique looks so goddamn different to when I started lifting 5 years ago is because I have been through four gaining phases in 3 cuts total. So in 5 years, I've done 3 cuts total. Right, just think about that for a second. I've done 2 mini cuts and 1 prep. I've been lifting for 5 years. 2 mini cuts, 1 prep. So if you then logically think about that, that's like, whoa, shit, he must have on average spent like a year and a half gaining each time he was doing it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm in a gaining phase right now where I've taken my body weight from 80 last August the whole way, no, up to 84 now. So August until May, I've gained 5 kilos. Not a lot of weight, but I know that the majority of that 5 kilos is fucking muscle. And because I'm taking it so much slower, guess what? I don't have to turn around and go into a cut anytime soon. And I can extend this gaining phase out, because the longer you stay in a productive gaining phase where you're taking care of these 4 factors, which I'm going to run through in a second, the more muscle you'll build. Okay? The more muscle you'll build. And it's about stacking these little bits of tissue every single week and not ruining your momentum by getting too fat and then having to cut it off again. So it's the duration that you need to maximize in a slight surplus with your body weight going up, looking after these 4 factors, not the rate at which you're gaining weight. Because if you're maximizing the rate at which you're gaining weight, I've seen it happen so many times. I've done it myself as well. When I first got into lifting, my first gaining phase, my first bulk, I went from like 80 kilos to 95 kilos in like 4 months, and my appetite tanked. I thought I was going to cut down and look hugely different. I actually cut down and just looked exactly the same, if not a little bit worse, because I put on so much body fat, worked really hard to get the body fat back off again, and probably lost some muscle in the process. My appetite was tanked for my next gaining phase. I struggled to actually eat again in my next one. And also just like my training wasn't that productive. I was having to shovel down so much food to gain weight at that speed, it wasn't that productive. So my methodology is, the way you fully fucking transform your physique and you go into a gaining phase looking one way and you come out looking the other, because that should be the goal. That should be the goal every time you go into a gaining phase, to come out looking like a new person and not cut down and look the same. Beautiful Ferrari just passed us. Lovely. That should be the goal. If you're cutting down every single time looking the same, you need to watch this video and understand where you're going wrong. So now we know the duration that you're in a gaining phase for is the most important thing, pretty much. Because as a natty, like, just put this into perspective for a second. World champion natural bodybuilders can revisit the stage every like 2 to 3 years and be the same weight on stage every year. Okay, so let's say their condition got better by 500 grams. It means that in 2 to 3 years of training, they've only put on 500 grams of muscle, and they look drastically different. The point I'm trying to make is, building muscle is slow. We know that. But what we need to do is, like, we know building muscle is slow, so there is absolutely nada fucking point, zero, gaining a kilo a week, which is what I see some guys doing in their gaining phases. Gaining a kilo a week for 4 months, putting on 16 kilos, getting too fat, cutting back down again, going, where's my muscle? It hasn't arrived yet. It's not there yet. Because let's say 500 grams is what someone elite is putting on in 2 years. 500 divided by 102, which is how many weeks, is about 5 grams a week. 5 grams a week. So say you're running your gaining phase where you're getting fat, adding a kilo to your body weight every single week for 4 months. That's 16 weeks. 16 times 5 is, fucking hell, 80. So at most, you're putting on 80 grams of muscle in that 16-week period. That is not enough to really visibly show up. And by the way, that's probably way more than it actually is, but that's nowhere near enough for it to be actually visible. Now let's actually think about the gaining phase I've just ran, okay? Where I started in August, it's now May, and I've put on 5 kilos. But let's say I was just stacking 5 grams of muscle every single week, okay? So from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 10 months. 10 months. How many weeks is 10 months? 40. Gained 5 kilos of body weight in that time. So here we go, maths time. Gained 5 kilos. And let's say in that 40 weeks, I've been putting on 5 grams a week. That is 160 grams of muscle that I could have theoretically put on, and I've only put on 5 kilos of body weight. So the percentage is a lot higher. Rather than just like throwing weight on for the sake of it, I am gaining as much muscle as I possibly can and extending the period, because I'm not gonna start my next cut until December, by the way. So I've got another 8 months, I think it is, or 6 months or so until I actually start my next cutting phase. So every time I go into a gaining phase, I do not want to cut back down and look the same. I want to give myself a big enough time period to build a significant amount of muscle, and it takes fucking time of being perfect. It takes time of not missing a gym session, nailing these 4 factors and being relentless with it. And it takes years to truly transform your physique. And I always get this, guys message me on my page, Ollie, how the fuck is your client like gone from looking like somebody that was, you know, pretty under muscle to now jacked? How has he done that? Like, how many gaining phases was this? And I say 1. It was 1. And they're like, what? I've done 3 in the last year. And yeah, it's because the potency of your gaining phases is shite. Your gaining phases are ineffective. You're not committing to them. You think you're committing to them by eating a load, training hard for 4 months and then backing out of it. That is not committing to it. That is you actually being a pussy and not doing it properly, because the guy who truly commits to the gaining phase is the guy that goes, right, 12 months. Am I happier looking a little bit worse every single week for the next 12 months? Am I happier having to shovel down food when I don't really want it sometimes every single week for the next 12 months? Am I happy looking at my physique in the mirror going, yeah, fucking hell, I don't know if I'm looking better at the moment. This is getting a bit rough. Can I cut yet? And still going, no, I've got 6 months to go. No, I'm not going to cut yet. No, I'm not going to do it. Are you happy being the guy that sees that his body weight is creeping up a little bit too quickly, and instead of racing to get to that top end body weight that you want to reach, like I'm aiming for 90 kilos, instead of racing towards that and getting there in 2 months time, going, slow the fuck down, stack the body weight every single week. I know it's boring. I know it sucks. I know it's boring. I know it's boring. I know I can't see the gains. I know I'm covering up my veins every single week. I know my abs are slowly disappearing. I know that, and I'm going to carry on anyway. Are you willing to do that? If you're willing to do that, then you can put on literally 5 plus kilos of muscle in one gaining phase. I've seen it happen with my clients, especially if you're somebody that's only been in the gym for 2-ish years. If you run a proper compound gaining phase, you commit for the next 18 months, you can come out of it looking like a completely new man. Can you do that in a 4-month bulking phase, a 2-month cut, a 4-month bulking phase, a 2-month cut? No, you can't. You have to protect the momentum, and you have to ride it out the whole way through, and you have to be willing to do that. So when you get to the point where you realize you're done with bulking phases, you're done with 4-month up, down, losing the same weight, barely looking any different, and you commit to this long-term way of thinking, this way of thinking where you're like, okay, I'm in it for the long run. I'm here to completely change how I look. I'm fed up of being at this level. I want to add another 5 kilos of muscle, no matter what it takes. And you need to commit to the end date. You need to commit to how long it's going to be and not back out anytime before then. When you've done that, these are the 4 factors that you need to track every single week in that gaining phase to make sure that you are ticking every box. Because if these 4 are in line, you're sound. You can't go wrong. If these 4 every single week, you're looking at them, you're knowing they're in the right place. You just need to let time take its course. Like if you nail these 4 and then you start getting confused thinking there's another one you need to look at, you're wrong. It's just time. The only one that would be missing from this is time, right? So if you've got these 4 in place, then you just need to stack week after week after week after week after week of you doing this relentlessly. So number 1 is your training performance. Like, as boring as that sounds, you need to be obviously sticking to a consistent program that is building the muscle that you want. It's effective. I can talk about how to optimize your training program, but at the end of the day, like, I just need you to be sticking to the same exercises, the same rep ranges, the same weights, and progressing. That is the most important part, okay? And when I say progressing, a lot of people saying, oh, I just need to be adding weight or adding load. Not at all. You just need to be getting more stimulus. Not getting progressive overload, but getting a progressive stimulus, okay? So are you actually delivering more growth stimulus to the muscle you're trying to grow this week than you did last week? That could be by leaning forwards on a hamstring curl a slight bit further. That could be by adding knee wraps on your leg extensions towards the bottom of your shin to get a tiny bit more range of motion. That could be pausing at the bottom of your hack squat to really bias that stretch a tiny bit more. It could be in so many different ways, but you need to be progressively stimulating your muscles a little bit harder every single week, making it a little bit tougher for your muscles every single week. That's number one, okay? And most of the time that will look like progressive overload in the classical sense, where it's like, I'm getting an extra rep this week, I'm getting an extra, I've added a 1.25 kilo plate. It will look like one of those most of the time, but what you're actually doing, that's like the basic way of seeing it, what you're actually doing is progressing the stimulus you're delivering, and that's what matters more than anything. That doesn't always have to be by weight or by reps. It could be by improving your form, getting a bit more depth, by pausing, by controlling your eccentric a little bit more. Like, I've just done a crazy lane change, sorry about that, but it's progressing the stimulus, not progressing just the weight or just the reps. It's the stimulus that matters. So every single week, I accidentally put my main beam on by accident as well. So progressing your stimulus every week, that's factor number one. If that's happening, you are delivering the growth potential to your muscles that they need. You are saying, I will fuck you up, now you need to let me recover. And it has to be progressive. You can't be going into the gym, ticking the same boxes, doing the same, getting the same amount of stimulus every single week. You need to be upping it, and upping it relentlessly, and upping it to the point where it hurts to be upping it every week. That's what you need. And you need to be demanding that level of performance from yourself. That's what number one. Number two is your rate of gain. I don't understand coaches who don't track this. I don't understand coaches who just let this go on the whim and just let body weight do what it wants in the gaining phase, and then say, oh, it's just water weight fluctuating, oh, it's just because we had a salty meal, it's because we had an off-plan meal, it's because... No. Your monthly rate of gain in a gaining phase needs to be fucking optimized, because if that is out of whack, number one, you could be losing weight and not noticing, or number two, you could be gaining weight way too quickly and putting on more fat than muscle, and what happens after 3 months of that or 4 months of that? You have to go into a cutting phase, and you justify it by saying, oh yeah, no, we've built a load of muscle, we were planning on coming out of this phase. No, you fucking weren't. You just gained too quickly, and you didn't realize you were gaining too quickly, okay? So you need to optimize your monthly rate of gain. Now, how I used to approach gaining phases was tracking weekly rate of gain only. So in other words, calculating your average weight for this week, calculating an average weight for last week, taking all of your morning weigh-ins, and then seeing how on a weekly basis that's changing as a percentage. But even on a weekly basis, it's too vague, because my body weight will fluctuate up one week, down the next, up one week, down the next. And so on a weekly basis, it's hard to know. And it's only when I actually zoomed out and started calculating monthly averages, so in other words, taking all of my weigh-ins from a month, comparing that to the next month, is when I could actually zoom out and see the data completely, because that gets rid of all of the up-down fluctuations, and it's taking 30 weigh-ins and calculating an average and then comparing that. And that monthly rate of gain, I used to, when I was tracking weekly, it used to be sometimes too low by accident, and sometimes be up at like 3%, 4%, where it looks like on a weekly basis that's okay, and it's not going up too quickly. I've just had a 1% week, and then a minus, and then a 1.5% week. It's normal. And then you average it out, and it's like, shit, that is too fast. It is too fast. Without you realizing it, it'll creep up on you, and it'll be too fast. I have so many clients, and it's funny, they'll come to me and say, I just feel like I'm not gaining weight quick enough in this gaining phase. I calculate their data, and they're like, oh shit, so what? It's going up at 2%, so we're perfect. We're on the top end of the range. And I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, oh, wow, that's weird. I didn't realize that. And if you don't track that piece of data and you don't optimize that piece of data, it will run away with you. It will run away without you realizing it. And in 4 months' time, you're like, whoa, where did all this body fat come from? That's where it came from, not tracking that data. So optimizing your rate of gain, so important. So you've got training performance, progressive stimulus every single week. You need to be tracking your numbers. I have it on a spreadsheet, conditional formatting, so that it shows me green, red, grey. I rate my stimulus on every exercise as well, and if that's not going up, I change something. Another dodgy lane change, I know you'd like that. So every week with my training, I track my actual numbers in the gym, and secondly, the stimulus I'm getting from that exercise. I rate it out of 5, And if that isn't progressing upwards weekly, so in other words, the stimulus, and I quantify stimulus as the pump I'm getting during that actual exercise and the disruption the day after, and also the stretch sensation during that movement. So it's very hard to quantify, but if you have like a standardized measure of how you quantify stimulus, how much it's disrupting your muscles the day after, how sore you're getting, how much of a pump you're getting, how much of a stretch you're feeling, and you can keep that consistent as you can in your brain, then rating that from 1 to 5 is a measure that I take every single week to see the exercises that maybe aren't getting as much stimulus as others, and if they need to be rotated out. So I track my actual numbers in the gym, how many reps did I get, what weight did I use, and I track my stimulus as a ratio of 1 to 5. Every single week I'm looking at that and making sure that I am progressing the stimulus I am getting. Secondly, my rate of gain. I have a spreadsheet that takes my body weight every single morning and calculates my average for the month, and it keeps my monthly rate of gain. It shows me my monthly rate of gain, and I keep that. I used to keep that anywhere between 1 to 2%. Now I take it even lower. It's in between like 0.5% and 1.5% per month. I don't want to go any quicker than that because I'm not in any rush. I care about duration of gaining phase, not speed at which I'm gaining, right? If I want to gain from last August the whole way through till this December, I need to keep that at like 1%. Otherwise I'll get too heavy, too much body fat, it'll be a nightmare to pull back off, my appetite will die, and I'll gain body fat and just say, oh, it's natural, it happened. No, it wasn't, it's because I didn't control my rate of gain. So I'm very, very purposeful, and there's a movement at the moment towards having like a super minimal rate of gain, month to month, not chasing body weight at all, just maintaining. I don't think that's the right complete approach on its own, especially for newer lifters. I think if you're in your first 5 years, it's worth you pushing your body weight up, but the amount by which you need your body weight to be going up is nowhere near as much as people think. People think it needs to be like 2% a month. It needs to be, you know, fucking a kilo a week. God, no, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. I've just been pulled out on, my bad. Yeah, you're honking me, but bro, I can't do anything. You're getting the road rage as well. But rate of gain, it just needs to be going up. That is the only thing that I'm going to say. It doesn't need to be going up by a certain amount. It just needs to be going up month by month. Full stop. In a gaining phase where you're wanting to put on muscle, it just needs to be going up. That's all you should care about, right? And when I say going up, I mean like minimally going up. If you've got a rate of gain month to month of like 0.05%, okay, maybe you want to break it up a little bit, but you're still maximizing your growth, because not all of that, or probably just about all of that, could be muscle. But you've got to realize the amount of muscle you're actually putting on is minimal. The way that muscle looks will change your physique completely. So it's just about stacking it. So you've got your training, you've got your rate of gain, and the next one is a counterintuitive one, but it's your physique, man. It's your physique, it's the visuals. You need to be looking at your physique on a weekly basis. And I know I said earlier, but it's going to be getting covered with body fat. You're going to be looking worse. Yes, but you should be looking bigger in areas. You should be looking bigger. You're going to see more body fat on you. That's natural. You're going to have more body fat all over. It's going to happen, especially towards the end of the gaining phase. But man, for the first 8-10 months, you should just be looking bigger. Like, I look at my physique now compared to when I did my photo shoot last year. Yes, I have more body fat. Yes, I got a bit more body fat, admittedly, but I just look way bigger. If you're not looking way bigger and you're just looking fatter, something is off. Something is fucking off, right? Like, I get guys messaging me saying, oh, I've been bulking for, 5-6 months and I've just got a pot belly and I haven't really built any muscle. Yes, good. You have been tracking your visuals, and I can tell you what's going wrong. You train like a pussy. Your training is shit. Your training is really bad. Because you've been in a surplus, you're gaining weight, and your belly has gotten bigger, but your muscles have not gotten bigger. Your training is shit. You're not building enough muscle from your training. You are not stimulating enough growth from your training. Amazing. Now that we have this data point and we're looking at your visuals every single week, comparing side to side, we know that the training is the problem. But if you're not looking at your visuals, it's easy to kind of blame other things. So that's your third data point, looking at your visuals, taking your progress photos in the same spot every single week and looking at yourself. Oh shit, am I just getting fatter or am I actually getting bigger? For me, I look at my progress photos now, I can see in my delts, they have literally doubled in size since I started this gaining phase. So much growth there. And that again is an indicator for me that my delt training currently, spot on the money. Don't change it, spot on the money. My quads have grown a lot recently as well. Amazing, don't change it, spot on the money. Keep that exactly how it is, right? Oh, Ollie's just entered a yellow box and the lights are about to change colour, and I got fined for this last week. Don't fucking fine me again. Let's go, we got through. So, your third one, visuals. People are like, oh, there's no point taking progress photos in a bulk, I'm just looking fatter. No, that's because you're bulking wrong. That's because you're not gaining muscle. If you're looking worse, like in your first few months of gaining, nah, something be going wrong, something very, very wrong. So take your progress photos, not every single week, but once a month. Put yourself in front of the camera in the same spot with the same lighting, compare it back to where you were a month ago, and honestly assess. Look at yourself and go, am I getting bigger or am I just getting fatter? If you can see way more rolls by your sides, but your arms are looking the same size, your legs are the same size, your chest just looks smaller, mate, there's a possibility you're gaining weight too quickly and your training is shit. If you're not building muscle, your training is shit. Simple as, okay? And the fourth one, which is it's weird because like this is the only other factor you need to take care of to make sure everything else is going all right. But if everything else is going all right, the likelihood is you are taking care of this on its own. But it's your protein intake, okay? It's your protein intake. No. I was going to risk it and try and go down the sneaky side road, but I'm not going to do that today. We'll just sit in the traffic. It's your protein intake, okay? If your rate of gain is perfect, so in other words, you're gaining in between 0.5 and 1.5% your body weight per month, guess what? Your calories are in the right spot. So I don't mind if you're tracking or not. I don't care if your calories are in this spot or not. I don't care what your carb to fat ratio is. Like, that's minute details. And at the end of the day, if your body weight is trending upwards at the right speed, you're building muscle, you can see it visually happening, and your training performance is going up, bro, you are taking care of your calories, your carbs, your fats. That's all good. Your calories are in a great spot because your rate of gain is in a good spot. If your rate of gain is in a good spot, your calories have to be in a good spot. That's just how it works when you're working on a monthly basis. So I don't mind if you're tracking on MyFitnessPal or not. If you want to be somebody that tracks on MyFitnessPal every single meal, fine. If you're somebody that can do things more intuitively because they've tracked for 5 years, the only thing that you need to take care of on a daily basis is hitting your protein, man. Hitting your protein. Calculate how much protein you need to be eating. And to be honest, I would, especially with everything that I'm seeing recently, I would err on the side of going higher than you think. So I eat 220 to 240 grams of protein every day. So well above the 200 mark, which is a fuck ton of protein. But just keep an eye on that. Like, I don't need to track anymore simply because I can optimize my body weight and I can look at an item of food and tell you exactly how many grams of protein is in it because I've been tracking for so long. But if your rate of gain is in a good spot, your visuals are in a good spot, your training performance is going well, the only thing that you just need to have like a little timer, a little reminder in the back of your head is your daily protein intake. Like, I have not tracked my protein today. I've not been on MyFitnessPal today, but I can tell you I've eaten 105 grams because I know I've had, are you ready? I've had a smoothie this morning that had 2 scoops of vanilla protein in it, and 2 scoops of vanilla protein comes to around 48 grams. Now with the milk in there as well, would probably push me up towards that 60 mark, and traces from like peanut butter, honey, and banana, like a gram. So let's say that's 60. I then had a vanilla shake later on in the day, which was 34 grams. And secondly, with that protein shake, I had 2 coffees as well. The milk from the coffees come to about 4 grams each, which pushes me to around 105. So I need to go and get another 115 grams of protein. Like, if you can't do that yet, track your shit on MyFitnessPal. Put everything in, learn how to track your intake properly, and make sure you're ticking that box daily. Like, if you're in a gaining phase and you're letting your protein go lapse, you're stupid. You're missing out on growth just for the sake of missing out on growth. That's a box that you can't afford not to tick. Tick that box. It's easy, it can be cheap. Like, you just need to buy a kilo pack of chicken and cook it all up with some rice and eat that all day. Like, you if you're a convenient guy and you haven't got time to cook, guess what? Go into your local supermarket, go and grab a YouFit shake that has 50 grams of protein and have 2 of those a day with dinner that mum's cooked for you when you get home. Like, it's not that hard. You just need to tick that box every day. Simple as. So there's my rant over for gaining phases, and there's my 4 pieces of data that if you keep those in check, you are going to run the perfect gaining phase. What is this lady doing, my bruv? Good lord, she is sideways. She's in a mum Porsche. You know, a Macan? Is it Macan? Yeah. She's in a mum Porsche. Evie wants one of those Porsches. Anyway, those are the 4 pieces of data. There's my gaining phase rant as well. If I catch you running a four month bulking phase and then complaining about the muscle you haven't built, I'm going to be really unhappy with you. I'm going to be really unhappy with you. But if you want my complete gaining phase strategy, how I take clients into a gaining phase and pull them out of it 12 months later and they look like a completely new fucking human being because of the methods I've learned over my last bloody 5 years of gaining and optimizing my growth, then the top link in this bio takes you to a free video I've recorded, which is like 50 minutes long, and it runs through the exact training methodologies, the exact training strategies, the exact mini cut strategies as well. So how do you pull off body fat in between these gaining phases, and what to do in that situation as well, and actually the gaining phases themselves. How do you line yourself up to build the most muscle possible? What mindset shifts do you need to make? All of that is covered. My whole gaining phase strategy to literally transform who you are in the next 12 months is in that video there. So go and click that link and you'll be able to watch that for free. Awesome. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my road rage rant. I've also realized that when I'm stuck in Dubai traffic, it takes me 30 minutes to get home, which is rough. I need to start training at a different time of day. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe if you want, if you really like the video. If you don't, you really don't have to, but go and click that video, go and get that access to that 50-minute strategy video. And if you have any questions about gaining phases as well, drop them in the comments. I'll work my way through them and answer them all. Appreciate you all, love you, see ya.